The U.S. military has begun dropping anti-Islamic State propaganda in Syria. An F-15E fighter jet dropped 60,000 copies of leaflets portraying ISIS recruiters throwing young men into a large meat grinder as others wait their turn in line. Critics point out that the images are graphic in nature and also distasteful. The leaflet was created by the Army's Military Information Support Operations. The question is, will the leaflets really discourage young men from joining the Islamic State? Or is it wrong for Americans to drop propaganda urging them to stay away from bloodthirsty terrorists in a city which has not only been experiencing violence from a civil war for the past 4 years, but from recent US-led coalition airstrikes that have left hundreds of civilians dead and countless houses and mosques destroyed? Jose, what do you think about all of this? For me, it's a little bit surprising to see the US military going out and spending time and money, taking helicopters just to drop these illustrations that are very graphic and portraying a lot of violence on the city of Raqqa in Syria. I mean, I know why they chose the city. Like I said, a lot of violence has been going on there for a long time. And the US-led coalition, their airstrikes have killed a lot of civilians.
Not only the US-led coalition strikes, also the Syrian strikes. Just last September, 53 were killed.
Right.
Of them, 31 were civilians. So this is a population that has been under fire for a very, very long time, where civilians are getting hurt in a very high percentage. And the fact that they chose an illustration hints that maybe they're trying to reach out to a younger demographic from the city that might be exposed to the ISIS ideology, and they might want to deter them from growing up with this anti-American feeling, associating all of these attacks with the US, instead of realizing that ISIS is one of the factors for that violence to be happening in that territory.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, think about it from a young boy or girl's standpoint, growing up in that kind of volatile situation. Not only do you see violence from your own regime, you're in the middle of growing up in the middle of a civil war, but yeah, you're seeing US-led coalitions striking your city, destroying things, and it's like you're going to have that sentiment deeply embedded into your head no matter who you are, what kind of beliefs you have. Faisal Itani, who works at the Atlantic Center in Washington, he studies the various groups fighting in Syria's civil war. He would probably agree with what you and I have to say. Here's what he had to say about all of this. He said, "They are stuck between the regime, ISIS, and airstrikes by a coalition that is now trying to discourage them from joining its enemies. Living as they do in such an environment, it's rather distasteful and absurd to discourage Raqqawis from joining ISIS to a violent death." So he would that kind of underlines exactly what we're talking about here. But, you know, although it is surprising to see the U.S. go out and do this, I understand why. I mean, definitely it's a weird action. Yeah. I don't know how much of a effect it's going to have on the overall U.S. agenda in the region. It seems mainly distasteful because there's nothing really to gain out of putting that out there. Except instilling fear in kids as far as the ISIS goes. Why would you do that? Why would you go and well, look, unrest because this is aimed to the civil population. This is not something that is aimed to the militias in the region. This is going on for the kids. And I understand the thought process behind it. Let's scare them from ISIS. But they might just feel angered that the U.S. government is sending opinions about their culture because it's in Arabic. Not something that is coming in English with an American message up front. It's kind of hidden. So exactly. I think that's kind of lame. Great, and we'd love to know what you guys have to say about all of this. Is it right for the U.S. to be doing this? Is it really going to discourage kids and scare them away from ISIS? Or is it wrong and just disrespectful to drop these kinds of images on a city that's been torn apart by war for quite a long time and seen its good share of violence? Let us know what you guys think by commenting. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Lip TV for more.